I kind of wanted to just get a bag of tricks that would rekindle the sex and the intimacy in the relationship. Everything that was discussed and read and articulated in all the materials that we review resonated really well. And I spent an extraordinary amount of time consuming all of that, not taking action. I started to find the ability to take those thoughts that were banging around in my head and turn them into words, and once they were in words, you can actually address them, you can attack them. That was really helpful. I would move my thoughts out of my head down into my body and really kind of embrace how it felt. So that was kind of a phase two to applying how to take a thought in the moment and handle it in a different way, process it in a different way, and move it to an action. That action started out as being able to write. So now I have challenges where I have thoughts that I know if I actually sit and write it down. I've had several episodes where actually writing it down was really painful. It was really hard. I actually avoided journaling just because I knew when I sat down to journal, I would have to write about that. But getting through those smaller steps actually allows you to begin to take action personally in bigger arenas, in real life situations, where you can actually practice with your wife being curious, practice with your wife being stoic, listening above responding, and really take those interactions and those situations with your wife where you feel like you're picking up on a cue that she may be in a retreat mode, and you're standing strong, and you actually move those thoughts that are in your mind at that same time down into your heart and handle them the same way that you were handling them when you were by yourself. And that can actually produce some very different interactions. It can show her different versions of you, that you really have changed. And version 2.0 is starting to show itself to me as having nothing to do with how my wife interacts with me, but how I interact with the world. The world doesn't happen to me, I happen to the world. 2.0 with her is something that I won't be able to define. I think that there will be some positive things that come out of it in my interaction with her, but the more I realize it, if I back up all the way to the start of all this, I kind of wanted to just get a bag of tricks that would rekindle the sex and the intimacy in the relationship so that I can continue to be vulnerable with her. Now I really see it as just kind of addressing the world in a completely different way, of being able to again capture those thoughts, handle them internally, and respond in a strong way and happen to the world and happen to my relationship. Whether she can survive that shit or not, I have no idea.
100% agree. And so sexual connection and chemistry, if you will, is sort of at the top of the pyramid, right? And at the bottom of the pyramid is emotional safety, psychological safety, shared vision, and connection. Those are all underneath and come prior to or along with sexuality. So where do you feel that you are with your wife? Emotional safety, psychological safety, connection, and shared vision.
We were very good intimate friends, and she had a lot of desire to create a marriage. And then as life happened to me, she started to push away from that. Now we've come back to good friends, and I see more and more of her interacting with me one on one. I'm listening to her a lot more. She's actually desiring one on one time to talk and discuss and allow me an opportunity to listen and befriend her. She's taken that villain role that she used to keep me in, and she would articulate that I was the villain in her story and her situations. When she would get pissed, it was because I wasn't doing this right. I'm hearing less and less of that. As of this week, I had another moment where I was given an opportunity to really interact with her and really be curious. I had kind of approached her to be intimate and got the rejection that I was expecting, and I turned it into curiosity and got her to talk and talked and said openly the things that traditionally went through my head. And a lot of it was content within my journal that said, you're in a lot of pain, and I can see that pain. And I noticed that you're not really keeping me in the role of the villain of that anymore. And I think, I don't want to go back to our old version of our marriage. I'm very interested in a marriage that can grow in intimacy and connection, but we can't approach it the same old way. And this conversation was back and forth. Her responses initially to me were, I don't know that I want to be married to you. I made a decision 2 years ago or a year ago to move into this new house with you. I bought a house when she told me that we were done. I bought a house, and there was this seminal moment, and I said, "Hey, if you don't want to be with me anymore, this is the perfect time to make that happen." And she still moved with me. And so during this conversation, she said, I don't, I still don't know how I feel. I don't have those loving feelings. I think that she wants to be intimate with me and she wants to have those intimate feelings, but she's still living in a narrative of all the painful events that she hasn't held me accountable for in the past. So my approach and curiosity to this was basically saying, I think you're very aware of the fact that we can't go back in time and fix any of those things. I'm happy to discuss or try to clean up those rooms at any point in time that you want to. But this is who I am now, and this is where I'm going now. And this version of me will not be in a marriage that's not intimate and connected. I do want, this is what I want, a new version of the marriage. So it was very easy for me to just state what I wanted. And she heard that. And she said, I don't know why you're still with me with the way I've acted, and so on and so forth. So I let her talk until she was done talking and went to sleep. Within 2 hours, that turned into sex. So it was completely just dumping it all out, and then me saying, I get it, but this is the direction that I'm going. This is what I want. I can't go back in time and fix anything. But it was very hard to have that conversation, maintain curiosity, be very calm, and be very deliberate about how I'm moving forward in the world and what I will have in my life. Not as a threat at all, but just as being very confident in what I wanted. Again, knowing that she wants to be in love with me and wants to have those feelings and wants to be intimate. She just doesn't feel that way right now. And she tried. We had marathon sex for 3 days of her trying, you know, to come back. But again, that sounds great, right? But we've all had sex with our wives, and we've had really good, and then we've had cold fish, right? So the more interactions that we've had as the time has progressed past that, and she started to repeat the patterns of her days of dealing with kids and all the shit that we have to do, she started to slowly retract again. So it was a little bit of a breakthrough, but not a repair, right? And that's why I say, Jeff, I really don't see it being the same connection, intimacy, and relationship that we had. I really look at it like I'm going to pour this energy into a woman, whether it's the wife that I have now or one that I pursue when this one and I decide not to be together. I'm going to pour that energy, that love, and that affection into a woman to create an intimate relationship. Why the fuck don't I just pour it into this woman as if we don't have that history, as if we don't have those scars, and as if I have nothing to lose because I'm going to do it with somebody else that's got baggage I don't even fucking know about.
When I pour that energy into her and you get the rejection that you got a few days later, whatever, which, and I'm not talking about avoiding pain here. It must be frustrating, and not to expect her to change, not to expect to have reciprocation, but that it's like lost energy, And I think we all become that. Are you frustrated with that process?
Well, I think you would define that interaction of her rejecting you as failure. My mindset now is that interaction with her and her rejecting me is progress, because, okay, we're told all the time, and I'm not trying to pluck strings of the terms that we're told all the time, but we're told all the time we can control ourselves, we can't control our wives, right? So all these ideas of being able to act, to take action, to put yourself out there and to put your love out there, you don't need anything to come back to you. You really don't. If you put something out there into the world and it doesn't reciprocate in the way you thought, you've made progress, because you'll never fish those waters again, or you'll fish those waters in a different way, right? But you'll never fish them the same way in the same circumstance. You've made progress. You've learned.
So part of this is when she shared with you that she didn't think that she could love you again, that she was afraid of going back to the way things were. That is an expression from her, as you would agree. That is a way that she opened and felt safe with you. So when you say progress, again, I love what you said. He might see that as failure, but that's her opening and feeling trusting enough in that moment to share something deeply painful with you. So seeing that as an opening and progress is phenomenal. Yeah.